Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. For this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful hair barrettes using flat square beads. I made these hair barrettes the same way. I just did little things to make them look different, like adding crystals on this one, or doing 8 seed beads in between my 10 seed beads. On this one here I just did 10 seed beads on the sides. Now for the flat square beads, I got these ones here from Sugar Gems, and I love them. They're absolutely gorgeous in this barrette. These faceted glass square beads I got from Michaels. And I actually got these rectangular beads from the Dollar Tree. They're kind of an unusual shape. From the top they look like rectangles, but from the side they have a diamond shape and they overlap each other. But they worked pretty good in this hair barrette. I like how it looks. Here is the list of materials you will need to make these beautiful hair barrettes. If you are using square beads like I did in these two here, you will need 3 feet of .010 nylon coated stainless steel bead stringing wire. If you are making one like this one here with rectangle beads, you will need 4 feet. So for the square beads you'll need 3 feet, but because the rectangle beads you'll need more of these, you're going to be needing more wire. So 4 feet for the rectangle and 3 feet for the square beads. Now if you're using beads with larger holes like these beads here, you can use a thicker wire if you don't have .010. And on this one I used a much thicker wire, and I still have some space in my holes to pass more wire through if I wanted to. You're also going to need a 3-inch hair barrette and 10mm up to 12mm flat square beads. And if you don't already have any in your bead stash, go to Michaels Craft, because I got these from Michaels and these ones here are check, and I just recently got them from Michaels. They came on a mixed strand of this brown, the purple, and this turquoise color, and I love these. They're so pretty. Now it's kind of hard to say how many you'll need for your hair barrette, because you don't have to use a 3-inch hair barrette if you don't want to. You can use a smaller one, but I found that if you're using 12mm square beads, you'll need about 7. I have 7 in each of these. These are both 12mm. And if you're doing 10mm square beads, you'll need 8 in your barrette. Now you're also going to need 11 seed beads, or you can do 10 O's. It's up to you. You're going to need crimps. I'm using 2 crimp tubes. You can also use crimp beads if you don't have tubes. And these here are optional. These are 4mm bicone crystals. You don't have to use them if you don't have them. In this one I just did seed beads, in this one I did the crystals, but in this one I just did 10 seed beads with 8 seed beads in between to fill in the large holes on this hair barrette. You're also going to need, well, this is kind of optional too, tweezers. I didn't use the tweezers to make the ones that I have here right now, but this just helps me pull the wire out of tricky places, and also makes it faster for me to work on in the video. Now you're also going to need chain nose pliers to smash your crimps. So this is everything you're going to need, and remember I always put the list down there in the description bar with also other helpful things like tips and where I've got beads from and stuff like that. So make sure you look down there in the description bar if you want to see all the materials down there. The first thing we're going to do is take our wire and fold it in half, and you can see that I have my 2 ends here. I'm going to take my hair barrette, does not matter which end, and I'm going to pass through one of the top holes. So from the top I'm going to pass through the hole, just like this with both of my wires, pull this through until I have a loop that looks like this. Then I'm going to take these 2 wires and pass them back through this, so we're kind of doing like a lark's head knot here, and pull this down. And make sure that your ends stay even, because you don't want one to be longer than the other. And pull this down. And as you can see, the wires look like a pretzel, okay? So we just pull that down and let this flip just like that under the barrette. Make sure your ends are even and when you let go of the wires, they split and they separate like this, and that is what we want. We want it to look just like this, okay? So now I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to pick up my first bead. Now, if you are using 7 colors and you have 3 of one color and 4 of another, you're going to pick up the one you have more of first. So that would be the brown, like in this barrette here. Now, I'm working with 8 colors, so I'm going to start with a purple and I'm going to end with the turquoise color. So I'm going to move these out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And I forgot to get my nail trimmers to hold this down. So I'm going to try to do it without it. So I'm going to take my first square bead, I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to crisscross through it, just like this, and pull the bead down here. Okay, just like this. We have our first bead on, okay? Make sure you pull it tight, okay? Now, right here, we are at the part where you have to figure out how many seed beads you're going to have to add. Now, with the larger beads, what I did for this one here is I picked up 3 on each wire, then I picked up a crystal, then I picked up 3 seed beads again on each wire, and then I crisscrossed through my next square bead, and I continued that for the whole length of this barrette. In this one, I just picked up 6 seed beads on each side, then I crisscrossed through the square bead, and I continued all the way down to the end, and then when I got the whole top covered, I went back and I filled in the gaps with 8 seed beads. And with this one here, I used rectangle beads, so of course I had less seed beads, and I just filled in the edges with the same size seed bead. Now, these here are smaller, so I'm going to make a barrette that kind of looks like this, but the holes here aren't going to be open. They're going to be more tightly woven together. So I did 3 seed beads, a bicone, 3 seed beads. For this one, because they are 10 millimeter, I'm going to do 2 seed beads on each wire. I'm gonna bring these over here. 2 on each wire, and then slide those 2 down. Then I'm gonna pick up a crystal on each wire, and then a seed bead on each wire. Slide that down. Okay, it looks like this. And now I'm going to pick up my second color, which is the turquoise here. And I'm going to crisscross through this bead. Okay, bring this down. If you have nail trimmers around you, you can put it right here through the hair barrette, and it makes it stay still. It doesn't flop all around. I used it in my last video, but I forgot to get them for this video. Okay, so now that I have this, you could see that it looks nice. I don't really have a large gap, so I will be able to fill it in with seed beads here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fingers on it like this, take these 2 wires, pull them tight, okay, then hold it still. I'm going to take the wire here on my right side, and I'm going to go under the barrette, this metal bar on the top, just the top one. Okay, pull that through. Flip it over, and I'm going to pass through the same bead right here on this side. Make sure that I come out the hole over there and I don't pass through any seed beads. Okay, I'm going to lay this back down because it loosened up on me, and I'm going to pull my wires like this, and it tightens up my seed beads and my bicones. And then I'm going to pull this one here. Okay, so pull both of them tight now. And you might want to check your end, because on the big heavy squares that I did, the wire was trying to slip off the end because the beads were really heavy. So you might want to go back and make sure that the wire is pressed down. Okay, and once that's done, we can move on. And it's still wanting to loosen up right now, but once we do the next one, it'll tighten up for us. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the same pattern. 2 seed beads on each wire, a 4 millimeter crystal on each wire, and 2 seed beads again. slide those down. Now I'm going to pick up my next color, and that is my purple. Okay, so I'm crisscrossing through these, or through this, and pulling it down. And as you can see, when I pulled that, this tightened up, and only this is loosening up. So again, if you are doing the 12 millimeter, I'm going to pick this up and show you, you will need to do the 6 11OC beads instead of the 4 that I'm doing here. Okay, so you can see the difference side by side. Let me tighten this up so you can see it better. Okay, so see what I mean? That's what it looks like. Okay, so now I have to attach this one. So I'm going to hold it again. I'm going to grab both wires, pull the wires like this tight, make sure this bead is laying down correctly. I'm going to put my wires together, find which one is longer, because we made a wrap around the bracelet, one is, or around the barrette, one is longer. So I'm taking the longer one, and again I'm going to pass it under here. Then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to go through this hole right here. Okay, and come out the other side. Pull this wire through, lay it down, pull both of these wires, and then pull it down and make sure that it is very tight. Okay, so now we have 3 squares connected, and this is what it looks like. It looks really nice. On to the next one. I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads on each wire, slide those down, pick up a crystal on each wire, and then 2 seed beads, and slide those down. Okay, now I'm going to pick up my next color, and that is the turquoise. Crisscross through it. If you look at the sides, you can see the Picasso on it. The purple's like that too. They're very pretty. Slide that down. Okay. Again, I'm going to pick this up, hold it under my index finger, pull this tight. Now right now both of my ends are even because we did 2 wraps. So I'm going just to take the right side because I'm right-handed, and I'm going to pass under the top of the barrette. Careful not to kink your wire. And then I'm going to pass through the hole over here in this side. Come out this side. Pull that through. Lay this down. Pull the wires tight again. And then pull this one all the way through. And make sure it's tight. And this is what we have. Okay, now I'm going to do the purple square. So I have to pick up 2 11OC beads on each side, my crystal, slide that down, 2 11s again on each side, slide all that down. Now I'm going to pick up my next square, and I'm going to crisscross through it and bring it down. Okay, I'm going to hold this under my finger, put these ends together, pull it tight. I'm going to go to the end of my wire and find the one that is longer, and again it is my right wire because I keep using the right one it seems like it's always longer. So I'm going to pass under the barrette again, just like this, flip it over, and then go through my square bead, pull this through, and pull it down, and make sure it's tight. So now I have 5 complete. It is so cute. So if you wanted more of a puff, like in this one, you could see how adding 6 beads instead of 4 makes it stand out more. But I did the 6 beads with these and it didn't look right, and I think it's because they're 10 millimeter. It did puff out, but my squares did not want to lay up against each other right. They were separating, and you could see the barrette through them. So if you want to play around so you don't waste your wire, you can do monofilament just for experimental purposes to see what it would look like, and if you're happy with the look, then you can go ahead and do it with the beading wire, because this stuff can be expensive. And whenever I do design something, I use monofilament to design it, and I could tell if it'll need thread or not by how it's acting. If it's too stiff and it's not laying right, I'll do the thread eventually. But first, I want to find out if I like the design and if I like the color and how it's laid out. So I always experiment with monofilament, and because it's a lot less expensive, and if I don't like it, I can cut it up and throw the monofilament away. It's no big deal. Okay, so again, I'm picking up the same thing, 2 seed beads on each side and a 4mm crystal, just like this, and then I'm going to pick up my square, which is the turquoise, and I'm going to cross through it. Okay, crossing through it, bringing it down, lay it on top, just like that. I'm going to hold it again under my index finger, pull both of these wires tight, make sure nothing's loose. I'm going to pull this down. Right now my wires are even, so I'm just going to take the right wire again, and I'm going to pass underneath the barrette, like that, flip it over, and go through this hole, pull this through, lay it back down, and pull it tight. Okay, so now I have to pick up my seed beads again. So I'm going to do 2 seed beads on each side and a crystal on each side. Slide that down, 2 seed beads again on each side, slide that down. Then I'm going to pick up my square and crisscross through that. Okay, now I'm going to hold this down, pull this tight, find the longer wire. I'm going to pass under the barrette, my wire's getting shorter on me. Okay, under the barrette, just like that, flip it over and pass through the same hole again. Okay, and pull this tight. Make sure it looks okay. Yep, it looks good. Okay, so you can see that our hole is right on the side of our buttons here that we push to open the barrette. That's perfect. So now when I go to put the next bead on, I have to go around the buttons, and I have to wrap it on this side over here where this hole's at. Okay, so now I'm going to add my last one. Again, before we do that, I want to make sure it's tight. I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads, my crystal, 2 seed beads on both sides, 2 seed beads, 2 crystals. Oops. Slide all that down, pick up the last square, crisscross through it, bring it down. Now I'm going to again do the same thing. I'm going to pull these wires tight. I'm going to hold this with my index finger, flip this around for you to see. I'm going to I'll take this wire over here, and I need to let this lift up a little bit. I'm going to take this wire, and I'm going to, exiting out of here, I'm going to go through this hole, just like that, in my barrette, pull it through, careful it don't kink on you, just like that. Then I'm going to take the same wire and pass through the square bead. Okay? So now you can see we just did that. Now I'm going to take my other wire and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to take it and pass through this round hole here. Big round hole in my barrette. Pull that through. Then I'm going to pass through the square bead. Again, be careful it doesn't kink. See, in situations like this, it wants to kink on you. So you gotta open that up and pull it through, okay? So now we have what looks like this. I'm gonna sit it down and I'm going to pull this very tight. And as you can see, it got loose over here on me. And no matter how hard I pull it, it's still like that. So to fix that, I'm going to take my tweezers and loosen this up. Okay, I just tightened it there. So now I'm going to pull these wires here, grab it on the side here, pull that, and then pull this. Again, grab over here, pull it right here, and then pull this wire. Okay, now I'm going to pull both of them tight. Okay, and we fixed it. It looks good. Okay, so now we're ready to do the sides. Alright, now, if you're doing it like this one here, and you have where the holes are open, I did not add a seed bead in between them. I left it open, just like it is here. Right now it's open. But I did reinforce it with a wire. I just went back through the sides and I reinforced it, and I didn't add seed beads because if I added seed beads in this, it would be all wavy. When you looked on the side, it wouldn't be nice and smooth and round. So because it's sticking out like that on the sides, I did not add an extra seed bead in the gaps. Now, in this one, I had large gaps, and when I put the seed bead in it, it did not look right when I put the tenuous in it. So I did an 8/0 seed bead, and it filled the gaps up better, and I really like the color, the gold. It's really pretty. So for this one, if you look at it, you can see that I clearly have gaps. So that means that I am able to fill the gaps in this one. So I have this pulled tight here. And now I'm going to fill in the edges. So right now I'm at the part where I might need my tweezers. So I'm exiting out of this side and this side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce the side here, going straight this direction, and also on this side with my other wire. And because my gaps here are visible, I'm going to fill them in with a seed bead. So I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to try to go through all 5 of these beads at one time, and as you could see, it was trying to go into that seed bead. So I'm going to try to redirect it with my fingernail, my wire, and if I can't, that's when I'll take my tweezers and I'll grab it and pull it out. Okay, so I just went through there. I'm going to pick up 1 seed bead. I'm going to pass through these 5, and I try to do all 5 at the same time, because if I were to go through the 2 seed beads and like out the bicone, it would try to kink on me, and I don't want that to happen. And I just got stuck on my little button thingy right here. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up another one. Right here I am. I'm going to try to pass through all 5 of these again. Push it through. Okay, and it's wanting to go through that bicone. So I'm going to pull it back through and try to get it to go through those seed beads, okay? So I got the seed beads. I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to pick up another one right here. I'm going to try to go through these 5 again. It does get a little tricky. It's not that the holes are tight, it's just that your wire is wanting to come out a bead or go in a different direction that you don't want it to go. Okay. So right now it is going into my next row. So I'm going to grab it like that with my tweezers and pull it out, okay? So now I can see I got a couple spots filled in. I'm going to pick up another seed bead. Pass through here. Go through those 5. I'm going to grab it again. Pull it through. Okay. Now I'm going to fill in another hole. Right here. I'm going to go through these 5. Push it on through. Just trying to go out to the bottom. It's going to do it anyways on me. I'll just pull it through. And I'll try to do it this way. And be careful not to kink it. When the wire gets kinked, it weakens the wire. And it wants to break on us. So we have to be very careful not to kink the wire. Okay. It's pretty good. It didn't kink. Okay, I have one more spot right here. Then I'm going to pass through these 5. Go through them. It's not wanting to go on me. Okay. Through the crystal, through these 2 here. Pull this tight. Then I'm going to pass through my square bead. I'm going to leave this wire. And then I'm going to go to my other side and I'm going to do the same exact thing I just did here on this side. Filling in the gaps. Very easy to do. Pass through 5 beads. Grab the wire. Pick up a seed bead. Fill in this gap right here. Okay, I made it through 3. Now I have to go through these 2. And sometimes if you push it down, you can avoid passing through the beads that are beside it. I got through 1. I was wanting to go through all of them at one time, but it's kind of hard to do that. Okay. Put another one in and pass through the next 5. I got through 3. Now I have to pass through these 2 here before I pick up another one. So this is very simple, very easy. You're just filling in the gaps here on the sides, and you're going to keep going all the way down here, and you're going to crisscross both of your wires out this square bead, and once you get down here I'll show you what to do next. So keep going, filling in these gaps until it looks like this side. So I kept on going, and right now I'm exiting both of my wires out of this square bead. I crisscrossed my wires through them, and I forgot to tell you guys that you are going to need number 1 crimp tubes or beads. When you buy the wire, it tells you what size crimp bead or tube you will need, and I'm using number 1. Now I like to use 2 crimps because I'm always paranoid that one would break, because I have had crimp tubes and beads break on me several times, so I like to use 2 just to be safe. So this is what it looks like right now. I'm going to pick up these 2 tubes and I'm going to crisscross through them. And what I try to do is I try to keep them together as close as I can, and I also try to center them in front of this hole like that, where they're centered in front of the hole. And then after I crush them, I like to tuck my wires in. So it wants to loosen up on us, so that's kind of annoying. So I'm going to grab the wire with my other hand over here. Okay, with my index finger, my middle thumb, and over here I have these fingers holding onto it. And I'm going to crush it. I'm going to crush 1 tube at a time, because if I do both, chances are one's going to move away from the other. So I do it like that. I do one at a time, okay? Now I'm going to pull these because sometimes it's not tightened all the way. Okay, and I'm going to see if I can slide these into each other. So I didn't totally squish them. Maybe these will work. Try to push these into each other. I did it before. Okay, there it goes. Using my fingernails. Okay, now it's really tight. So I'm going to go back and completely squash these down. Make sure they are totally squished. Okay. They're totally flattened now. So I'm going to take this wire here, move this out of my way a little bit. I'm going to push this square bead down, and I'm going to pass this wire through my hole here. You can see my wires coming outside, so I'm pulling the wire through there. Then I'm going to take my other wire and do the same thing, passing it down through this hole. You might have to push your square bead down to get it to go through. Pull it through. Okay, and it went in. I'm going to see if I could push this down anymore. Okay. If you want, you can sort of push them in there. Because they're metal, they do bend. Okay. Now I have to trim the wires off. Just try to trim it as close as you can without cutting your important wires. Alright, and we're done. Look at that, a beautiful hair barrette. So this is it. I just wanted to let you know that since I filmed my last beaded hair barrette video, I've had a ton of requests to make more beaded hair barrettes. So I will be working on more and more beaded hair barrettes designs for you guys, and I'll try to go as far as my imagination will take me. And I'm really loving this hair barrette that I made today because of the square beads. You know, there's new 2-hole checkmates, and there's tilla beads that have 2 holes, and those are used in bead weaving, but I've never really seen anybody using a 1-hole flat square bead in bead weaving like I did today. So I'm really happy with how these turned out, and I hope you guys love them too. So please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and like me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the jewelry you've made from my videos on my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching.